Red Cloud Financial Services is your preeminent source for mining industry opportunities. The team provides a unique tailored marketing program dedicated to reaching the right people from its mining-focused global network, giving clients access to industry-leading events and conferences, retail and institutional marketing, plus an in-house growth-driven digital agency. Red Cloud Financial Services has access to some of the mining industry's most notable companies and CEOs. For more information, visit redcloudfs.com.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Digging Deeper. It's Andrew O'Donnell. We've got a great guest today. We're going to be talking about lithium. I mean, listen, even in this down market, lithium has been doing outstanding things in the market. And we've got President and CEO Jason Barnard of Foremost Lithium. This is a story, I mean, people should know about and haven't heard so much about, but there's a bit of a story about that in itself. Tell us about the vision of Foremost and also kind of your role and how you come to champion this company forward.
First of all, Andrew, thank you for allowing me to tell you the Foremost Lithium Resource story. I want to start off by telling you that Foremost Lithium is about to embark on its most exciting year in the company's history. We spent $3.5 million narrowing our targets on our 4 large district scale properties. And we have embarked on our maiden drill program on Jean Lake, and we'll unpack more on that later. Myself, I became president and CEO in order to create shareholder value. I'm the largest shareholder of the company, and there had to be a management change. So I don't know if we'll get into that later. But I would like to point out that one of the first things I did when I got involved is I monetized an asset, a non-core asset, for $3.5 million cash, which I sold to the Australians. That's non-dilutive cash in the treasury. And there'll be a lot more corporate activity now that I'm president and CEO. I expect to keep buying and selling properties. And right now we're focused on our exploration in Snow Lake, Manitoba.
It's great because, I mean, speaking about your background, I mean, you've been a broker, you've worked at Canaccord Genuity, you've raised over like $500 million in mining deals in the past. So if someone's kind of looking at you, this is not something you had to come do, but it's something you've wanted to come do to come help change the story. And that value of selling this non-core asset and getting $3 million, that accretive value there without having to dip in and raise money at a stock price you may not want to, that in and of itself is a big change. That's a big story to convey to the market. Yes,
we put mostly a new board in. We have capital markets guys, for instance, Jonathan Moore on our board, who's been president of other battery metals companies. And the corporate activity, if there's one thing the Australians taught me, is they said, listen, keep drilling off your lithium assets, but don't stop on the corporate activity. This real estate, lithium, pegmatites, it's worth something. And our company, although we are about to go and embark on drilling a new discovery on Jean Lake, and we've begun that, we did make our first discovery back in 2017. That was in Zorro. And when I first financed the company, it was new to the lithium space. And our stock went to 110. That was the discovery phase. So we are embarking on a discovery phase now after spending $3.5 million last year. But the thing is, you don't stop your corporate activity. I don't think it's baked in the stock right now, but there will be more of that to come.
I think it's key to mention that there's there's a driver at the company again now. And then we'll take a kind of a step back because, I mean, people have seen us talk about brine stories and DLE and whatnot, but this is a pegmatite. This is a hard rock story. So this is more of your classic traditional one, like a Patriot Battery Metals that is getting a lot of attention. And I think, letting people know that that's the story we're coming from, not necessarily a tech deal about the DLE. This is traditional hard rock mining. Tell us a bit about that and why that is good to have as well. And in Manitoba, that's the other thing.
So a little of a overview. We are in a great jurisdiction, being a Snow Lake. We are a hard rock lithium company, and our goal is to produce lithium oxide ore and send that off for the electrification of automobiles. We are situated in Manitoba, which has a long history of mining and is known globally for being a mining-friendly jurisdiction. In Manitoba, our properties in Snow Lake, we have great infrastructure. So we are situated near the port of Churchill, where we can send our lithium oxide ore to Europe. We're at the tip of the NAFTA superhighway, good location. We have hydro, it's all hydroelectric power in Manitoba. We have highways, we have rail. And speaking of the Manitoba advantage, we are situated 600 kilometers away from the only producing hard rock lithium mine in North America. A lot of people think that it's Quebec, but it's Manitoba. And one of the things that we also have going in our favor is we are situated right beside Snow Lake Lithium Resources, 11 million ton Thompson Brothers property, 1% lithium, and we're currently drilling 200 meters away from it. So very, very nicely situated in Manitoba. And most recently, we did a bulk sample through XPS. This was a 500 kilogram sample. And you mentioned your different technologies that create the lithium, the Li2O. We were able to prove that our product is amenable to production of 6% Li2O, and also the DMS separation strategy. That's dense media separation is the most profitable way to extract the lithium, and we were able to prove that. So that really helps with the marketability of the lithium in the ground. So that's a little overview of the company.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, people knowing that that's the target and that's it's going to work. I mean, that's the people want for the electrification, for the cars, for the automobiles. That's absolutely key. And what's interesting is you had to kind of teach me about the Manitoba advantage. I'd heard so much about Quebec, and I know it fairly well. They're really supportive of anything battery energy metal. But it was great to see whenever I first started talking to you about Manitoba and how strong they are and how open they are towards this whole story as well. And on top of that, having this lithium lane that runs from the tip of this NAFTA kind of lane all the way down to this corridor, this kind of opens up central Canada to a whole lane outside of Quebec, Ontario.
Yeah, so that leads me to talk about our actual drilling strategy. We spent $3.5 million getting all our targets ready. We have 40 pegmatites, we have 40 targets, and we are currently on Jean Lake. The lithium lane is a corridor where we have our lithium properties that are along the Thompson Brothers Trend and the Crotek Bay Fault. So we will be drilling throughout the year on the different properties. And you mentioned Patriot Battery Metals. One of the things that people don't realize is the most amount of shareholder value is created when you move from exploration to discovery. So we mentioned Patriot Battery Metals. They were 30 cents last December. They, like we have, they found their targets on the Corvette property, and as they drilled them off and started to make that monster discovery, it's a monster. Yeah. They'll have a great mine there, but they moved to from 30 cents to over $17 to a $1.7 billion market cap, and that's because the market loves a discovery. So back to Manitoba, we have spent the time getting our targets. We are drilling for discovery. We will visit with the drill, and we're visiting right now with the drill, all 4 of our lithium lane projects, and we expect great success. And if anybody wants to, we know Quebec has Patriot Battery Metals. We know Ontario has Frontier. That's heading to $1 billion market cap. The next, all eyes are on Manitoba. The next big place near the Tanko mine is I would think Manitoba. So if you almost want to hedge yourself against not having the next big thing, you want to look at Manitoba.
And I mean, you're not a brand new shot in the dark. I mean, you've had a discovery already. So
in 2017.
2017. Yes. So what's great is that you have a lot of data already. And you mentioned this before, is spending enough time on that, picking the target. And you've spoken to me about Patriot Battle, where they're patient, they found their targets, and they hit. You guys have done a similar thing.
Yeah,
just wait. We're going to be patient. We're going to find our right targets, because if we feel like we've got them, and you're drilling right now, that is where like explosive value can come. And you want to be careful and analytical and very scientific with how you find those targets.
Yeah, you can't do it overnight. Our VP of Exploration, Mark Fedekow, scientifically collects data. We've had great success on top. Geophysics has been done. We've had high-grade samples. We did the MMI. We did the LiDAR. You layer this information on top, low mag, high mag, and then you go drill your targets, and you increase the probability of success. So yes, scientifically, it's not overnight. Anybody that just gets a property yesterday or a month ago won't be drilling it successfully anyways, anytime soon. So yes, we're at that place.
And I think it goes without saying is that closeness. I think it was 200 meters from Snow Lake. I mean, that plays a vital role too, because Snow Lake was a sizable, discovery in and of itself. And it's had its own story of its own, which we're happy to talk about another time. But you're right beside there, so it's not like you're in a bad location for you've got them right beside. And we've got a great slide actually that I want to pull up, and it's a bit of a comparable. And I think people, when they can look at some of the success stories in different provinces and they see this comparable chart, they'll get a sense of the scale of where could this go. And maybe you could speak to this just briefly. The exploration to discovery that I speak of, the foremost lithium is going, we're going exploration discovery. So we're looking at our discovery phase. Patriot Battery Metals, they are well into their discovery phase. They started that about a year ago, hitting their lithium discovery. We can see on this slide, lithium ionic, also $176 million market cap. I think it's higher now. Some of these market caps are much higher now. They've been drilling off, so they're into their discovery phase. They're near the Sigma mine in Brazil. The Frontier Lithium, it's sort of more like Snow Lake right now, where they're drilling off their deposit. Now that's Frontier's heading towards $1 billion market cap, so they're busy drilling off their tonnage. The rule of thumb in the industry is 10x. So if you're Patriot Battery Metals and you're heading towards 100 million tons, you're going to be $1 billion market cap. So you're busy drilling off 100 million tons. So remember that 10x. So they're now possibly heading to 150 million tons of lithium tonnage, and they're up to 1.5 billion. So it's always 10x. In foremost situation, we have 4 projects, and if each one of them were to have 10 or 15 million tons, you use that 10x number, 100 million tons. There's been a recent purchase in Australia where we saw 10 million tons go for 100 million US. It was bought outright. It's a deposit in Australia. So use that 10x number. And so if Foremost Lithium is trying to drill off 10 million tons at each of its properties, well, you can do the math
of what we'd like to become when we grow up.
Yeah, and you're on your way. And that's, I mean, I think it's important to see on that curve of discovery to exploration, and then the kind of defining the asset. And that story curve is where the excitement is. And like you said, the Patriot battery metals, they're still on that excitement. You know, when I see, you know, what happens with a lot of people is they look and they go, oh, I'm too late for Patriot battery metals because it's gone from 30 cents to $17. Other people, we may only start getting into it. But now would be a time if I said, okay, if you feel like you've missed the run on that one, maybe take a look at Foremost and take a see and go, all right, let's see what they had. And they had discovered before, what they're looking at. And if you want, you can reach out to Jason to get that slide,
yes,
and get the whole deck, and have a talk to see that story of art, like to make the further discussion of you guys could be heading in that direction. And it's happening now. Like, you're drilling now. So it's
drilling
not
now.
like it's not in the spring or the summer.
Drilling now.
Drilling now. And I think that is the urgency that I think people want to see, because we're getting finally recognition of the need for mining from federal government to provincial government as well.
Yes, the government in Manitoba has been very inviting. Manitoba has the highest tax credits in Canada, and most recently we've received another $300,000 grant from the Manitoba government. That makes $600,000 in total, and they are looking forward to also huge deposits in Manitoba, and they're really paving the way for us.
I think we had a bit of a conversation. This kind of ties together, and we've spoken about the acknowledgement from the government about critical metals. We had a show about the Department of Defense placing money and looking at like 60 different projects in Canada, and they're placing grants. Having someone who's worked in the markets, who's been a broker, who understands markets, we were talking before the show about what's it going to take for Canadians to kind of really come back into the market and understand that we're a resource country, but also that we have at our grasp this opportunity right now.
Yeah.
If people could really wake up to it and they embrace the climate story, which most of them do, what do you think it's going to take for people to kind of get back in there and start going, all right, let's fund some projects?
Well, there's a wish list, and then there's what it's going to take. Mm-hmm. I would like to see the federal government go and place some grants where they would like to see more lithium reserves and lithium production. The provinces seem to be doing a good job giving out what they can, but our federal government should come right out and say, we need to produce this stuff domestically. We have the Biden Inflation Reduction Act that says we have to create the supply chain here in North America. And what are we doing? We're behind, especially in Canada. And all we have to do is look towards Australia as an example of how to go about production from hard rock lithium. It's very profitable, creates a lot of jobs. The economic activity is huge, all the way from taking the lithium oxide ore and sending it away to the mining situation, creates a lot of jobs, to the big lithium hydroxide plant, which is more like a chemical plant, which is a $3 billion number. Each province wants to justify that economic activity. It's very, if the federal government wakes up fast, we'll do better on economic activity for Canada overall and the provinces. So I'd like to see, the federal government do something.
I would love, I think it's coming. Hopefully it's coming, but that acknowledgement would be great, because I think that would give the impetus to retail investors to think, let's jump in, because now is the time, and we can harness this activity. I call it like values-based plus value, creating real value. And this is where it starts, is this foundation of getting those critical materials right to where we need them. And it's been a real pleasure speaking to you about this project. Lithium is on everyone's forefront of their minds. There's a lot of interest, and we're looking forward to seeing results, which are coming soon. You're drilling right now.
Yes.
So everyone, reach out to Jason if you want that slide. And we really appreciate you coming in and speaking with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.